Hi, we're going to be going over Lyra. This is our multiplayer level project. So Lyra lives in your Unreal Engine marketplace. So you open up Epic, go to Unreal Engine, you go to the marketplace, and then we could search for Lyra. And here it is. So if you want to start one from scratch, we're going to have you download a project that has a level somewhat started. So that could help some of the difficulties of checkboxes and such. But you could click on this. It's free, obviously. You then create a project from it if you need to. Like I said, I don't think you're going to have to download it because we're going to give you the project, but this is where you start with it. And then once you create a project, it's like anything else, save it in the right spot. You open it up, and the project you're given is going to, when it starts up, let's start it from scratch really quick so we see what starts from scratch. Give me 1 second as I open it up. So it's firing up, and it should go right to the level we want. First load might take a while just because building shaders, setting up data caches, things like that. There we go. And actually, while we're waiting for it to load, you will need to also look up in the Unreal Engine, look up the Lyra sample game, which it keeps popping up. Look up the Lyra sample game, and in here has a whole bunch of info. This is pretty much what I just went over here. And there's things like, very useful, there's things like playing the game sample. The default map goes to this, and it lets you run around and choose multiple portals to play the different games. Further videos are going to go over convolution and a deathmatch level, which is called elimination, the style of gameplay. It shows you where you should store your maps, as in the plugins, maps, shooter map content, maps folder. That's where you have to save your level. And then there's things like you can't see anything in the level, so therefore you have to go to the world partition, select the partition, and load it, and that will show you everything. So this is a valuable resource as well. So this is what we started as, and it did start on our default class level. So this is just kind of a test case. There's probably a few more edits I might make in here before you see it, but it should have the basics to play with. And the shooter levels, whether it's a control map or elimination map, you open, which is convolution for a control marker map, or expanse for a deathmatch map. You open those up and you can see all the pickups you need to use. But we have the basics in here as well. So when we play, this is set to play control. Now let's hit F11 for full. Audio seems a little low. So now we're playing around in this test level. So this is kind of a good start just to maybe see what you're starting with. So there's two ways to start your level. You can either start on this, or you can open up one of the existing levels that are ready to go and all fully set up and save that out as your own level, and then you can use those pieces there and try and figure out how to make your own map from it. A little bit easier to figure out things and how they're set up. But this basic level will also give you an idea of what you can do. We have some weapon pickups, health pickups. Use some brushes here to make sure brushes work. Static mesh. Tune the jump pads to allow you to do things like this. More weapons pickups. Oh, that's my ally. They don't really, they get pretty single-minded and just run for the control point without any thought. This is pretty much where you start, and you can start messing around and figuring out how all this works. And it loads the game every time you play. You have to exit out of it, quit Lyra. Another part you should get used to when you're playing in an existing game system professionally. This will be happening a lot. You'll figure out shortcuts. You'll figure out what assets work and don't. Some of the things that we'll want to pay attention to in here. So I mentioned it briefly earlier. We have our filters. So in the content, if you notice, I'm going to filter this for my level, which we turn the filters on and off here. And I do not see the game 270 level. Okay, that's weird. If I click on plugins, aha, there it is. If I click on engine, it's not there either. So these are separate parts of the project, filtered differently, and they have been turned on and exposed by clicking show engine content, show plugin content. So we need those two to develop this game. There's a lot of content in here and plugins that we need to use. Note that this level has been saved into the plugins, shooter maps content, maps level. So that was mentioned on the page we just looked at. So it talks about how you need to save it right here for it to function properly. So that's backed up by our project here. And what else? In the world settings, to change the game mode, you go to default gameplay experience. So there's two choices: control points, so B Lyra shooter game control points, or B shooter game elimination. So if we change it to elimination, no one's going to try and capture the control points anymore. So now it's going to be red versus blue. So now we're just going to go hunt blue characters. And so as you note, they're not going to the control point anymore. That really is the basics to get started. You just have to open this up, start playing around. Further videos will open up these two maps, Convolution and Expanse, and play through them and talk about level flow, player pathing, the fact that this game needs to work as a deathmatch, or I guess team deathmatch, or the control gameplay where you're capturing points. You're not going to make Valorant, you're not going to make Counter-Strike, you're not going to make a Battle Royale. You need to make, actually a Battle Royale will be interesting because you could just control markers and yet have a ring closing in, or you could just do deathmatch with the ring closing in, I suppose. Trying to be the last person, maybe the last person alive with the highest points. I don't know. Could set some rules for that. But you gotta use this in the context of Lyra. You can't go off and try and make a new gameplay experience or an RPG or something like that. So as a professional, we always have to adapt to our current assignment. So that's how you get started. Open up this level, play around, hit play, look at how things work, figure out how things are tuned, open up these current maps, look at them, go to the website, read some of the rules, start understanding how this works. It'll be uncomfortable at first, but it will be fun. And make sure you work on this for the next 3 weeks and turn things in. Usually projects turn out really good if you get 3 weeks of feedback. Really does take 3 weeks of feedback to get past those initial mistakes of not enough cover, it's too flat, not enough spawn points, not enough health pickups, not enough player path crossovers, and central areas where the players all meet and fight. So you want to go through that over 3 modules. All right, hope this helps get you started. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.